I see Eva is struggling to join, so let us give her a few minutes.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Hi, I'm having a bit of trouble with my network. I hope you can hear me and see me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Ujue nisha ni okay. Amir, Eva, I hope you can hear me, because I was having a bit of trouble with my network, and it's a bit shaky this morning. I don't know whether Eva you can hear me, but I can see you're on. Amir, you said you can hear me, yeah? Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. Okay. I would like to quickly mention something about last week's discussion forum before I start off. That still I have.
Last week,
Sorry?
I wasn't able to attend that class last week.
Oh, it's okay. I need to mention something about it, because the people who have been answering the questions are getting fewer. Amir, I need you to mute your mic so that we stop getting interruptions. All right. So more often than not, we are having less and less people answering the questions in the discussion forum. However, I don't need people answering afterwards. I just need everybody to ensure that they check out the discussion forum questions afterwards, because I have opened them up now. They are easy to find and see. I see only Eva actually answered that question in the discussion forum, which is the question read as follows. Discuss there were how many questions? There were 3 questions. One was to define quality, which Eva did. Quality control is, she said, is monitoring the defects, monitoring to ensure that defects are spotted. That's what she said, which is correct. Highlight the advantages of quality control, and she did so in five steps, and then explain the process of quality control. She also answered correctly. Now, the thing is, I need everybody to ensure that they have tried to answer those questions in the discussion forums, even if it is on your own, because this is what we are doing. We're not learning, we're just doing revision. So everybody needs to do that. I have opened up the discussion forums for all the other weeks. If someone comments on it, I may not manage to entirely go back unless you draw my attention there, but I have opened them up. You can check what other people answered. You can review my comments on your work. I believe I have commented on each and every person's work for every week. You can check my comments. They will be very important. They are all open. None of them is closed up to last week. So today we are in sourcing 1. The topic of sourcing is just sourcing, but I have basically divided it into 2 because I find it too big to just to handle it in one class. So I usually divide it into 2, so that in the first class I highlight the most important basic foundation of sourcing. Basically, sourcing, first of all, we need to understand that it refers to the process of selecting suppliers. That is what it is. So it's as simple as that. So it is the basic process of selecting suppliers. You can select them internationally, but more often than not, usually do it locally. So you select suppliers locally. Now, I would like to skip this because this is just an explanation of, just more about the definition that the process involves a committee. It is usually done by an evaluation committee where we have tenders, can also be done by the procurement officer if it's just a quotation. So tenders is for large amounts of money, quotations are for low amount of money, and we have a threshold which the government allows us such that a tender is anything above 2 million shillings. Anything below 2 million shillings, you'll have to select anything else other than open tendering. So an open tender is 2 million shillings and above. So now, sources of information, how do you get suppliers information so that you can select them? Now, one way is, I have enumerated a number of ways here, but I wish to mention that one of the major ways is that you ensure that you have a database of suppliers from your ministry. If you're in the Ministry of ICT, there is a database of suppliers there. If you're in the Ministry of Justice, there is a database of suppliers there, and every ministry has, basically. Just give me a minute. I have my small champions here. I need to make sure they are comfortable so that they don't interrupt our class. Just a minute's time. Sorry about that. One of the challenges of working from home is you have to deal with such things here and there. So I was mentioning that where you get mainly the database of suppliers for the government, they usually get it more often than not from their ministries. So let me just mention that here as number one. If your ministry has selected, the suppliers for you, you are not supposed to go and get others. You're just supposed to use what the government has provided for you. So that is very important. So the ministry tender portal. If you just go in the ministry tender portal of ICT, you will find them. ICT, they usually do a good work because they have computerized most of their systems, and so you'll find that the database for suppliers for ICT is always very, very up to date. Another place we get our suppliers is from advertisements. And when we advertise, a lot of suppliers will come and give us their information. So if you check newspapers, especially on Fridays, on Wednesdays, today and Friday, there will always be advertisements for, they call it registration of suppliers. You will find a registration of suppliers, or they call it also pre-qualification. This means that the company wants to know who is out there supplying what. So they will say we need suppliers for the following 5 categories. And so they will need all those proposals. Suppliers will send their proposals and say, this is what we can provide for you in those categories that you have advertised. And then the company can select its own list and then create a registered suppliers. So the company will come up with its registered list of suppliers. Just a few, we select just a few who they will be using maybe for the next 1 year. We can find it in many other places, but these are the 3 most common places you find a supplier. So every company has a registered list, every company advertises, and then if it is a ministry, they will use from the tender portal. Approved list is what we are calling registered list. Catalog libraries, you will get them from publications, trade directories, sourcing services, many places, exhibitions, all this. Even agents. Agents will come like for flights. Ndege, there are agents for KQ, agents for Fly Emirates, agents for Ethiopian Airlines. So you'll get agents coming to your office and telling you, we are suppliers in this and this. And so you take their information and add it to what you have so that you can have a better list of suppliers. And finally, not the least, but this is the most important part that I want to draw your attention to, is the qualifications of a supplier. This will form the bulk of our class today, and I would like just to mention that the qualifications of a supplier. Number one, for a supplier to say that they can compete in Kenya, number one thing they need to do is register their company. So documents of registration, we have certificates, the certificate of registration, the license to operate. The directors need to have licenses to operate if they're international directors or foreigners, and all these documents of registration. Tax compliance, it is a requirement. It is in the Public Procurement Act that suppliers have to have a certificate of tax compliance. Financial capability, a supplier needs to show that they are financially capable to do a job, because you do not pay them before the job begins, you pay them after. So they need to have money to work, and then eventually you pay them. Now, this can be shown in two ways. Number one, a supplier who has done a job before. A supplier who has done a job before will manage, to show that they can easily perform it again. So, but a supplier who you have never met, or in a tender, this is what happens. A supplier will have to bring what we call security of tender, or a tender security, better known as a tender security. This is a letter from the bank of the supplier showing that they have 2% of the value of the tender in their account. In their account. Let me explain that. The supplier needs to go to their bank, and then they tell the person in the bank, write for us a letter addressed to company so and so, where we want to compete for certain tender, for a certain tender. Write a letter to them telling them, if the tender is 2 million, that we have 2% of that, which is 20,000 in the bank account. That shows financial responsibility, not even capability, shows responsibility. Number two, that letter also states this, that in case the supplier fails to comply to one of the rules of the tender, the 2%, the 20,000, the example of 20,000 that I'm giving, will be sent to the buyer, that is to the buying organization. So if the supplier starts to joke around with the rules, terms, and regulations which have been set by that company, the bank will be requested to send that 20,000 from the supplier's account to the buyer's account, and then the supplier is eliminated. That shows financial capability. When someone has just 2% of the total value of the tender. The total value of the tender is how much the tender is worth. If it is 2 million, then it is 20,000. If it is 10 million, then that is 100,000. So it's 200,000. So basically, so 2 million is 40,000. Sorry. So 2% of that, 2% of the amount needs to be in your account. Let me give an example. If Eva today is a supplier supplying for Amir. Amir is the buyer. There's a company called Amir and Associates. And then Eva is a supplier at Eva Suppliers. So Eva is applying for a tender from Amir. So Eva will need to go to her bank, get a letter. The letter should show that she has 40,000, 2% of the value, assuming the amount is 2 million. The total value is 2 million. So Eva will need to show that she has 40,000 in her bank, and that 40,000 will be sent to Amir if she does not comply to the terms and conditions of the tender. That shows two things: one, that she's responsible, and number two, that she has the money to do the job. You don't need to have all the money that you require to do a job. You just need to have a significant amount of that. So that is financial capability, and I hope I'll not come back to that because it's well explained. You can see now why it is important for people to attend this class, because it's very, very practical. Then there's a perceived reputation. If you have a poor reputation in the market, you need to start correcting it as a company and as a person, as an individual, because procurement professionals are always advised they must perform due diligence. They must do a market survey to find out whether a supplier can be trusted. So you as a procurement officer, you will need to find whether a supplier can be trusted. We know of some insurance companies in Kenya that are not very, very trusted. And so they basically lose a lot of business, if you imagine, because of poor reputation. And it is, trust is very important in business. So you will need to start improving as a supplier. You need to start improving your reputation, so that when you have a good reputation, more often than not, a lot of people will even invite you for competitions. Number 5, a person who is not bankrupt, under receivership, being liquidified, winding up, or is over. Let me explain that. Bankruptcy means that the person, the individual, is broke. This is for human beings. Receivership is a company like Chase Bank that went under receivership under KCB. So it means that Chase Bank had a lot of debts they could not pay for themselves, but then KCB took them up, paid their debts, and then Chase Bank had to operate and take all its profits, its revenues to KCB, so that KCB pays itself back all the debts, and then releases back Chase Bank to continue operating on its own when the debts have been paid. So that is under receivership. Liquidified is the process. It's the process of selling items just when the company is about to be closed down. So assuming that a company is winding up. Winding up is meaning that inaenda kumaliziwa. Assuming that company is winding up, what do you do with the assets? You sell them. You sell the desks. If a university was to, just give me a minute again, please. Just give me a minute. All right. Okay. Just give me a minute. I need to change something here. The capacity to contract basically means that the person is above the age of 18. A person above the age of 18 basically means that the person can transact in any business. People below the age of 18 can only buy basic needs, and they are only supposed also to receive education. So a person who is insane or drunkard means that they are people of unsound mind, either insane or people who are drunk. It means that they will also basically not be allowed to contract in any case, because they can discuss contracts but not sign them. A person who is insane cannot even discuss them, but a person who is drunk should not sign contracts. Minors can enter into contracts of business. Persons of unsound mind are not allowed to sign contracts of whatever type other than that of necessity. So those are the qualifications of a supplier. Now, attributes of a good supplier. these are just additions. The additions, you can say the person delivers on time, they provide this consistent quality, they give a good price, they have a stable background, provide a good service backup, is responsible to your needs, keeps their promises, provides technical support, keeps the buyer informed on progress of what is happening. So when we come next week, I would like to begin on something, a key important aspect of our discussion, which is the methods of sourcing. So you have discussed many methods of sourcing, and I will discuss in large extent the open tendering method. I would like to draw your attention to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. Make sure you download it. This is my copy. Let me show you my copy of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. You can find it on Google. Just Google it. You can find it there. And this is my copy. Let me show you my copy of that. So this is my copy of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. This is my copy here. It's very short. Sorry, it's not short. It is not a large document. It's only 40 KB, so you can download it to your phone and have it. So this is the 2015. So it's called Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act of 2015. This is the revised edition. It was revised on 2016. With those authorizing bodies, the Attorney General and etc. But let me draw your attention here. What we'll be discussing are the methods of procurement. So it is divided into several parts. The Public Procurement Act is divided into several parts. I have just passed what I was looking for. So you can see all these. Now these are the methods of procurement, the ones that are showing here. I will be discussing the open tender. I will be discussing the open tender. It will be quite a long class. I can promise you that we will do 1 hour of talking. But I would encourage you to have read this one, so that you can learn a few things. Let me go to section 96. You can see it's section 96. Let me move down to section 96. That is here. You can see that an open tender is done through an advertisement. You can read that. It is very interesting. I would like to bring to your attention that there is no other document we use when we are practicing procurement other than the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. This one. When you go to work, this is the one you use. When you want to refer to something, this is the one you use. So I would encourage you to start reading it today. Start reading for yourselves today. Read, understand. No time for preparing tenders. You come here. In fact, you come here and we read, and it's better you read and then I come and explain to you, so that you understand better. If you want as a supplier, also you want to be a supplier in future, this is what you start looking for. You start understanding from the side of the buyer what they want, what they know. Yes, so that it becomes easy for you. So please read 96. There's also another part I would love you to read. But for now, just go to 96 and read. Let me not bombard you with too much information. So slowly by slowly, we'll start to discuss the other. So we will discuss open tender next week. Then the week after that, we will discuss all the other methods. Because when you have understood open tendering, you can discuss two-stage tendering. You can discuss design competition. restricted tendering, and it is important you understand them because you can see how many there are so many. So anybody who misses this class will miss a lot. And when you check your past papers, you'll find that understanding this is very important for you to answer the questions properly. In fact, if you understand this method and understand them well, vizuri kabisa, the rest is very easy for you. So that is what I would like you to do between tomorrow and next Wednesday. For today, because this is a revision class, I would like to draw your attention to our discussion forum for lesson 9. The discussion forum for lesson 9 is here. We have 3 good questions. I don't want you to go back to the notes. Whenever you're doing this revision, please do not go back to the notes. Get it from your memory. Do the way you do in an exam. And then I will comment on your work, and then you will see the corrections. So define sourcing, highlight the qualifications of a successful supplier. And then there is ethical sourcing. Ethical sourcing is good sourcing. Why would you avoid corruption? Ethical means good morals, good behavior. What is right? What is good? What is not wrong? What is not bad? So ethical means good and right. So you are avoiding corruption and issues like that. But you can skip this question for today. Just do question 1 and 2 because we'll be having a topic on ethical sourcing. If there is no other question, I would love to close the class at this point so that I allow you and all of us to answer all the questions in the discussion forum, and then we can call it a day after I have commented on your work. So are there any questions? Eva?
No question.
Okay.
No question.
All right. Thank you.
No question.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I've heard you, Eva.
Oh.
Amir, you can just unmute your mic instead of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. You're asking, Amir, you can just unmute your mic instead of typing.
Okay, sir. I'm asking how many sections for the document of the Public Procurement Act?
It's a long document. It has around 17.
Okay.
Yes, that's around 17. It is 18. They're actually 18. They're 18, but for now, you can't read all of them. You begin by reading kidogo kidogo.
Okay.
So tuanzie na 96 because tunasoma open tendering, then the other weeks tutasoma hizo zingine polepole tu, utajipata ni kama umesoma zote by the time you're through. Okay, you can mute your mic now, Amir. By the time you're through with your studies in ZTech, you should have covered at least 2/3 of the Public Procurement Act. You have a full unit in Module 2 diploma on the Public Procurement Act. You have a full unit. You will do it like the way you're doing this unit. So it's you will have covered the larger part of that document. But it's good to start reading on some of these sections. So if you have no other question, I would like to close the meeting there. Go do the questions in the discussion forum. Remember, they close by 2 p.m. Thank you for attending.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you too.